Hey there, I'm Logetastic. Welcome back one last time to the Stanley Parable. We are closing the door on our face.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Okay, so this is the last playthrough I'm going to do and record. I'm going to follow the instructions a little bit more on my
When Stanley
playthrough.
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
And you guys, of course, you can get the game yourself. See all these 16 different endings. Because there's one you have to restart the game like half a dozen times. Or always you can just YouTube it.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Room closet, we're not going to go in there. You know what? I kind of want
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Downstairs. Woo! Okay. Hey, there's a car.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
Were they there
And
when
as
I came into
Stanley
the
pondered
office?
this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Ooh.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Yes.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Not
Were they
really.
simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real.
Somebody left the card lights on.
He came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue.
Oh.
He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt. He finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Unless he gets fired for sleeping on the job.
Himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
Again, what's the pay like?
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be?
Dun, dun, dun.
Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago?
Yeah, that was
How else
creepy.
would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
I already killed myself once.
So he closed his eyes gently,
Nope.
and he invited himself to wake up.
Nope.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin,
What?
the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job.
I want a wife.
All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
What is normal?
Everything will be fine.
Can I open my eyes now?
I am okay.
Still in the parking garage.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Alright, this is a little fear-inducing.
And everything went black.
Oh. Hey, that door closed behind me, I think.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career.
Wow.
And by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this.
I hate
So
society.
it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
She is legally
And then
obliged
she
to stay
turned
there.
and ran.
Yep. Yeah, that's fleeing the scene of a crime. Don't ever do that. Alright, I'm gonna run through that again on my own time. Oh, this is a different... This is a different, starting. Oh yeah, it just gives us
When
this.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright. We've only been going for 8 minutes, give or take.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Yep.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay. So can I go through there? Alright, now this one's going to be a little bit tricky.
Stepping in.
Haha. We're not in the boss's office. Hopefully it didn't break the game. So I think I have to go back to Stanley's office for this ending. Huh, that door's closed now. The narrator stopped. Yeah, look. This wasn't here the first time around. Ah, little abyss. I remember you from the first playthrough. Oh, door 426 is now open. Alright. What do we have here? You are now leaving. Red door, okay. Escape pod bay? Alright. Elevator, no work. So I think that an area was supposed to be disabled right there. Ah, we're taking the long way up. Wait, what floor did it say the escape pod was on? Alright, so 757. Alright. A little bit nervous. This is definitely a very, what's the word? Engrossing game. Aha. 760. Escape pod launch bay. Bay. Alright. Escape. You can see the wall. Hello? Oh, there we go. Alright. Ooh. Okay. Now what's happening? Don't freeze. Okay, there we go. Alright. One more go.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Wait a minute, that was a different... Huh. That was a different entrance. Or...
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
We just came from there. Alright. Door on the left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean?
What was it?
Stanley wondered aloud to nobody.
2858?
He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk.
I think this is different.
What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. And we know this. Is that blood? No, it's a shadow. Okay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job.
I'm hiding in the corner.
Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Yes, it would.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Except he didn't. He went through the escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Awesome. Can we make this a weapon? I know how to use it as a weapon, kind of. Anything can be a weapon.
Behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Nope. Remember,
at this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ooh. This is the last playthrough I'm going to be doing. So if you want to see your own, well, the 23rd of June will be the Steam Summer Sale. Maybe this will go on sale. You get it for yourself. Or you can always, YouTube other endings. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4, hey, what's that? Ooh. Oh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
Bye, life.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Oh,
in a single
so sad.
visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body,
Bye, Stanley.
killing him instantly.
So sad. Whee! We have a girl narrator now.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Ooh.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Nature paintings. Oh. Hey, look at this. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game. To the doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Okay, it's the door, it's in the office. The abyss. The door. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. The corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. Stanley's computer. If I push buttons on my keyboard, no, nothing happens. Okay. 1, 2, 3. The office. Okay. The two doors. The set of the two doors open was the very first concrete piece of Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Filing cabinets. Yep, those are filing cabinets. Office computers. Oh, I turned it off. Someone's playing solitaire. I can turn these things off. Employee database. I can't read it. Oh, the credits. Office clock. Boss's office. Oh, the boss's office can be different? Oh, look. Broken textures. This is from yesterday's, something tells me I should be going that way. Okay, that's definitely the ending. Underground. An early version of the underground portion of the game. So what's back over here? This is like the behind the scenes. I think this is a good thing to show for the final episode. That's awesome. Maintenance room, an early version of the maintenance room. It's kind of big. It's good that they put in the railings. I like that. Okay. This is text. If someone could just get rid of the text, maybe then I could see what the game is about. Words. Am I going crazy? Maybe it's the same image it was on the clock there before. Oh, I don't remember. How do I go back? Can you check for me? More endings, fewer endings, more endings. These are screenshots of Stanley Parable. HD remix. Is it really HD if it's shown in the original? Point of Stanley off HD remix is lost. Warzone? What? Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up in a battlefield fighting aliens. No, you didn't. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it, it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Alien base. I guess that makes sense. Oh god. Narrator emails. After a second trailer we sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these in further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here's a selection of those emails. I can't read it. Sincerely, Art. I appreciate the previous Stanley game as a work of art and standalone title. Oh, God. I wanted to tell you I like Stanley Parable. This is just as hard for you to read as it is for me. Humor, small, badgers, swimming trunks, watching the sunset, blah, blah, blah. Alright, whatever. Could have made that more legible. The Lounge. An early version of The Lounge. I like the end result lounge. Good development. Stanley's office. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created in 2011, second in 2012, and the third in 2013. But that's definitely better. That's the current one. It was darker. Okay, so they made it messier. And they added... I see what they did. They made it more lived in. Wait, was I there? Did I just... What? Oh no, I walked in there and just came. Alright, never mind. Game design mock-up. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent Davey, the writer, as a kind of audition piece. The strength of this level got William hired to design the full game. Though much of the environment has changed, the basic layout of this mock-up still is in the game. I'm not a fan of it. Exit. Countdown room, the early version countdown room. Yep, I like the red eyes. Was I here? I feel like I'm not going in an actual circle. Monitor room elevator. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down. With freedom above and count down below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and placed the two endings together instead. The heck is this? Oh, Zending model. Oh, I haven't done the Zending. The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents a fourth version of the ending, and we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon to change it shortly for launch. I don't get it. Google the endings, people. This is a screenshot depicts an early version known as Zending, which eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Maybe it's Zending levers. These levers were originally part of the Zending. Players will pull a lever, and the narrator will describe what color they pulled. I can't pull them. The game is now paused. Be in the game again. Resume the game options. Okay. Bloody hell, this is huge. The apartment timer. In a previous version, the choice leading to the apartment ending, we didn't do that. We unplugged it. And I'm going to go back and say that by myself, because like I said, this is the last episode, people. I gave you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Cargo forklift. Cargo lift was intended to offer the choice of staying on or jumping off to a different path. However, after the early version, we decided we also wanted the option for players falling to their death. Cargo lift, the second version is functionally the same as what's in the final game, but we want it to look more like a piece where cargo actually stored. Yeah, current versions looks like a warehouse, the office. It feels like this isn't actually linear. Like it loops in on itself in a paradox. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of freedom ending in this game's level. I heard that. Ooh. Countdown desk. One of the desks from the early version of the countdown ending. Okay, I think I've wrapped my head around how there's some in the back and then. Alright, so this kind there's that way and then there's over here. Oh, narrator. Narrator outtakes. Kevin writing the voice of the narrator recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over the 2 years of development. These are clips from earlier takes that is not used in the final game. Alright, so it's just kind of echoing, and that whirling sound, constant whirling sound, well, A, it's the fan on my computer, B, it's in that room. It's really becoming apparent to me now. And I'm wearing headphones, that way I can't hear the phone myself, and you're not getting the reverb from the speakers to into the mic.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Oh, on off, okay. Well, this has been the Stanley Parable. If lowering the switch doesn't turn it off, I'm going to look like put my foot in my mouth. But certainly, thanks for watching. I hope you liked this little mini series. You're more than welcome to leave a like or dislike. Leave in the comments what you thought. And of course, buy it on Steam. On the 23rd, it's going to be the Steam Summer Sale. Maybe this will be on sale. You can get it for yourself. Go to your local game store or possibly even any other retailer. I've seen them in drugstores for Steam cards if you don't have a credit card yourself. That way you can just input it into the Steam library and buy games without a credit card. And we'll end it off by throwing the switch.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...